just let Michael give us an update straight from the RNC and straight from the Trump campaign. I thought that might be of some interest to everybody here. There's a little thing going on called a presidential election. Donald Trump's going to be on the ballot. Yay! And here he is. Let's get him on the line. Mr. Chairman. I am doing well. How are you?
Good, good. How's everybody up there?
Everybody's doing good. You are talking to a wonderfully engaged group of Republicans in Nemaha County in Kansas, in northern Kansas, and I just walked up. I've hardly begun talking, and I told them who was going to be on the phone, and I saw lots of nodding. So folks are really excited to hear from you, Michael, about the Trump campaign and the RNC and what you're working on and where we're headed, and a little bit about how we're going to get there. Could you do that for us?
I can do that, and I would say, let me start with greetings from Philadelphia, and we are very, very excited about this debate tomorrow night with President Trump. I'm so excited to see him come out here and just directly communicate with every American voter about his vision for this election, which is really comes down to a question of strength. You know, which one of these candidates is going to restore the southern border and rebuild our economy and ensure that we are strong enough to protect our interests at home and abroad? No question, that is Donald J. Trump. And so I think we're going to have a really great night tomorrow. And then we're going to come out of this. We're going to go back and make sure everybody's rolled up their sleeves. We need to do two things to win this election. We got to get out the vote and protect the ballot. And I know that at the county level, that's where the rubber hits the road. That is where the volunteers, the voters, and the voice all come together. And so I really appreciate everybody who works for the county party. And of course, Mike and his team are doing a fantastic job with the Kansas GOP, and really appreciate his leadership. But, you know, we're excited. And I think that, you know, we've got Trump Force 47 as our grassroots campaign is running full tilt, and we need everybody to sign up for that. You know, our whole conversation on grassroots comes down to a 5-minute conversation that you can have with an undecided voter. And when they trust you, they're going to listen to you on these elections, and it makes such a big difference. And that is the premise of our grassroots effort, is empowering you and training you to go out and have those 5-minute conversations with 10 voters or 25 voters or 50 voters. And if you do 100, then we're going to invite you to Mar-a-Lago and have a fantastic party for all of our Trump team and captains. We're very excited about that. And when it comes to election integrity, we got to make sure we get the right rules of the road in place, and we got to be there. ProtectTheVote.com. We want to make sure that we've got, you know, we've got 175,000 volunteers signed up already, and we need more. And we're going to make sure that we are in the room whenever a vote is cast or counted. But we're very excited. 56 days to go, and the enthusiasm is there. The polling is there. The campaign is absolutely rocking, and we're very excited, and we need you guys to make sure that we deliver in Kansas up and down the ballot. So thanks so much for everything that you guys do, and helping us make sure we keep Kansas red.
Excellent. A great update. Thank you very much, Michael, for that update. Can you give us a little insight into how the president's feeling, how he's doing today, how things are going, and how he feels about the debate tomorrow night?
He's very excited. I think that, you know, we saw what happened when he debated Joe Biden. He didn't just knock him off the stage, he knocked him off the ticket. You know, they're not going to get a do-over with Kamala. But, you know, look, President Trump knows that he needs to come in here and articulate what he's going to do to help America become great again. And he knows this. You know, his prep sessions, you know, we haven't had a ton of them because, you know, he is out there talking to reporters. He's taking press conferences. He's doing events all day, every day. And he is absolutely able to articulate his vision. I think one of the things that we're very excited about is getting a chance to see which Kamala Harris is going to show up. We're going to see whether it's the one who is going to double down on every single one of her failed policies, or is she going to flip-flop and walk away from the positions that she's held all during her term in the Senate as well as in the White House. So we're kind of excited to see which one is going to show up. But I'll tell you what, the American people are not going to side with either one of them.
The Kansas people are not going to either. We are excited about your update. We're excited for the president. We're all waiting with bated breath to see which Kamala Harris shows up tomorrow night. And it is the, were you lying then or are you lying now? But which one is it going to be? And so we're all excited. We're all pulling and praying for the president. And Kansas is ready to deliver a big win for the president in November. We're ready to go, and we've got it lined up. Now we're working down the ballot, and we've got a lot of work to do and left to do there, but we know that we're going to deliver Kansas for the president. So, Michael, thank you for taking the time, for calling in. Good luck on the trail. Be safe. You're in the belly of the beast, the election integrity beast in Philadelphia, so watch your back there. Keep an eye on what's going on around you. Head on a swivel, and thank you so much for taking the time to call in. We all greatly appreciate it.
In order to win this election, we're going to get up the vote and we're going to protect the ballot, and we cannot do either one without the great grassroots support that we got from all of our patriots across the country. And with you and the rest of the patriots in that room, I know Kansas is going to be rock solid. So you guys, thank you so much.
Amen. Vote Trump, vote Republican. Thank you, Michael. Have a good evening.
All right. Good night.
Take care. Good night. Well, there you go. You got it straight from the horse's mouth. That's the guy that spends all the time with the president. So you got it. You were hearing things that I haven't heard. I have not talked to Michael in probably 4 or 5 days, other than just texting, asking if he could jump in and do this. So that was exciting. That was fun. That was fun for me. I hope you all enjoyed getting that update. So my name is Mike Brown. I am your Kansas Republican Party chairman. It is an incredible honor to stand before you and to say those words. I am 18 months into this, and it still feels a little bit new, and it still feels really, really good. So it's an honor to get to represent all of you as Republicans everywhere I go. I would like to introduce my wife. This is Christy Brown. I want just everyone to know her. You're going to hear her name again here in a few minutes as I walk through this speech and talk about what we've been working on. But she is, as I tell people all the time, she is the sitter, brains of the operation, and the clapper, and I am the standard talker. And that's our relationship. She helps me every single day. The Kansas Republican Party and all the amazing things you're going to hear me talk about that we've accomplished couldn't have been done without her. If you are retired military in this room, would you please stand as able and be recognized? If you're a retired or veteran military. Thank you for doing so. Thank you. That always makes me feel good to see everybody that stands up. Thank you for all that you sacrificed in your families too. I would like to thank our dignitaries in the room. First of all, Ray Shin, thank you for putting this together. Always amazing. It's always first class. It's always well done. Everything I've ever been involved with Ray involved is always first class. And that's true of the entire leadership team with Dort and the others. Just amazing group of people. I want to also recognize our nominees. So Derek Schmidt has a representative, and I can't remember who was, there he is. Perfect. So the representative for Derek Schmidt, and then we have Kansas Senate 1, Craig Bowser, right there, and I want to recognize Kansas House 62, Sean Wilcott, if he's in the room. Sean here, there he is. Perfect. Hi, Sean. And then Nemaha Board of County Commissioners, seat 2 would be Jason Cook. Is he here? There he is. Perfect. Did I say your last name right? Perfect. I wanted to make sure. I checked. Just want to make sure I got good info. Good job, Ray. Perfect. Oh, we do have, okay, the other commission candidate made, so I'm sorry, somebody else that's running for Board of County Commissioners is here?
Joe Dolly.
Oh, Joe. Would you stand up and introduce yourself?
I'm Joe Dolly now.
Okay. Great. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Did I miss anybody else? Perfect. So, It's an honor to be your Kansas Republican Party chairman, and over the last 18 months, much greatness has been accomplished in this position. Your Kansas Republican Party is leaner, stronger, and faster than it has ever been. We are also more engaged with more races than we have ever been engaged in winning in, from corner to corner in the state. Last November, there were 1,160 open seats across the state of Kansas. Republicans won 901 of the 1,160 seats. That's 78% win rate, which is a crushing win rate. I don't care what state, how ruby red, how wonderfully red, Florida. 78% win rate in any election statewide is a crushing win, huge. And you all did the hard work, whether you were the candidate, you knocked on doors for candidates, or you simply made sure that you got out and voted. Thank you for the work you did to deliver those 901 elected spots for Republicans sitting there. The great news on many of those is it had been decades since a Republican had sat in that seat. And now we have Republican ideals at the dais in the conversation, a part of the conversation, in places where there had not been Republican ideals, smaller government, less taxes, and more freedom, had not been plugged into the conversation, into the equation of what that level of government entity should be doing. And it is now a part of that conversation. This is the goal that we're all striving for, making sure that Republican ideals are present at the table as the big decisions are being made, especially with our money. That's really important. There are big races here in Nemaha County and across the state, and as these great candidates who I just introduced can all attest, there is a lot to be done. All of the hard work that it takes to get this done typically comes with great sacrifice by the candidate, but they're not the only ones making a sacrifice. Typically, their business or their employer are making a sacrifice for their time away. Their family is picking up, either helping them on the campaign trail or picking up loose ends at home that normally are on their list of the things they're supposed to take care of, and they're filling in and patching it in. So the families play a key role, and the business owners, the employers, the people that work for the business owners who are now running for office, these people all play a key role in allowing that person to be able to step forward and take that opportunity, to take that risk, to take that chance, to step out to represent us as Republicans and us as Kansans, and to the candidates and to their families and to the people that they work with, a huge thank you from the Kansas Republican Party. It is a sacrifice, undoubtedly. Would like to say also, again, thank you to Ray Shin and the Nemaha County Republican Party for keeping those wheels turning in your county and across Northeast Kansas and across our whole state. This corner of the state is legendary as I move across the rest of the state. Folks elsewhere wish they had the kind of organization and the conservative, true Republican drive and grit and stick-to-itiveness that folks in this corner of the state have and exemplify. Your willingness and your ability to stick together and deliver is well known and is much appreciated across the state. It's a corner of the state that we can count on. Again, I'm from Johnson County, so the problem child in our state, the moody teenage girl in our state, one day is laughing and then the next day is crying, and no one knows what happened or why, and they can't even articulate why. Today is the crying day. Very fickle place to be from, and again, having been a county commissioner there, I hope that as you get to know me better, if you don't know me already, you don't hold that against me as a strike I can't overcome. I'm a lot more all Kansas than I am Johnson County. It was good to hear, moving on, it was good to hear that our president is in good health and good spirits, and he's ready to go. Who's ready to see this debate tomorrow night? Who's ready? This is not going to be messy TV. It's going to be awesome. So, I'm sure with all of you, you will agree, watching the national polling on the presidential race has been a little frustrating at times. When they pulled the switcheroo, the party that says that we must protect democracy at any and every turn just went ahead and yanked the guy out and slammed the woman into the spot and said, here's your candidate. If you don't like it, tough. I don't know which part of democracy that fits into, but that's exactly what they did. And when they did that switcheroo, Kamala Harris went on what seemed like a never-ending honeymoon with the American voter. However, this past weekend, Siena and New York Times poll, we believe, showed the first dip. This is where the honeymoon is beginning. It's the news beginning to wear off. The gloss is coming off, and the news is wearing off. And when we get through tomorrow night, it will be very, very, very interesting to watch what happens in the polling later this week, and especially through the weekend. By the time we get to a week from today and see what happens with the polling, when 28%, you're going to find this hard to believe, but I'm telling you it's true, 28% of Americans, voters, likely registered American voters, say they need to get to know Kamala Harris better to be able to make a decision about her. And that at first sounds to me, when I first saw that, I thought, what in the world? But then I'm thinking, wait, that's 28% of opportunity. There's no way that people that don't know her, if you really don't know her, and you see her now and you start looking her up, I guess if word salads and Venn diagrams are your thing, she's your candidate. Otherwise, Donald Trump is going to run away with this thing, which is where I see this headed after we get past this debate forum mess tomorrow night. So we will all watch that together and see where that ends, but I'm very excited to get to a week from today and see where we've landed. Christy and I are both very connected to the Trump campaign, and we are both dialed in and tuned into that machine. And I will tell you, never in American history, modern American history for sure, has a presidential election campaign team had 3 bites at the nomination apple. This team is on their 3rd run, 16, 20, and now 24. That has not happened. That has made them hyper-disciplined. When they've been down this road, they know they're the Sherpa taking you up the mountainside. They've been there, they know how this works, they know what it takes, and they keep telling me, Mike, telling you, don't worry, everything's fine. The honeymoon's going to wear off. When America gets to know Kamala Harris, we are going to be fine. The more she gets known, and the more people dial in, and I'm thinking, who are these people that don't know that there's a presidential election? I mean, how in the world do you not know that right now? You can't listen to the radio and not hear it, much less TV. So, the bottom line is that we all learn fast when things are expensive or painful. I know I learned really quick on expensive and painful. And this campaign has been through the trials now in the 3rd time. They have the scars on their back and their wrists and their hands to prove it. And those scars are the proof that they've been there, they've made the mistake, and they know not what to do again. And so we have a very disciplined, highly tuned, ready to go to work on day 1 machine. This president will be sworn in January, and when he is sworn in, he will have exactly 4 years with no worry about having to run for re-election, because he cannot. So we can get to work on day 1, getting the hard stuff done, and just strap your seatbelt, sit you down, because on day 1, we're going to get to work. There's a lot to be done, and a lot of conversations we're already having taking place about many things that are going to take place on day 1, day 2, day 3, and all the way through the last day that he's there. Much of that is going to be worked back through Congress instead of using presidential orders, which is what they'll be at the beginning, working them through so that they become law, so that the next president can't come in and undo them the way we saw Joe Biden do it on day 1. So there's a lot of strategery and planning going on, and a lot of thought going into all of this to make sure that everything is ready to go when Donald Trump is elected, when he is sworn in, that we are ready to go get the business of America done, and we can save our country, save America. The RNC convention, people tend to have a little bit of a curiosity about all of that and how it worked and what went on. And I will tell you this, Christy and I went up the whole week before the convention for RNC meetings. We took a 2-week, no expenses paid vacation to a place that we probably never otherwise would have gone, but I will say that Milwaukee was lovely. It's a nice place. The weather was pretty nice, and the people were exceptionally nice. Everyone was very pleasant. One of our delegates that went, RNC delegates, said to me as we were walking past a group of probably the biggest group of protesters that we encountered while we were in Milwaukee, he whispered to me, he said, "I'm kind of disappointed. I thought they'd do better than this." So, and I looked at him and said, just be thankful that they're not throwing bricks or frozen water bottles. Who knows what could have happened. So we're thrilled that it was pretty mild, pretty tame. So while we were there, Christy and I did a ton of work the week leading up to the RNC meetings. I'm sorry, to the convention at the RNC meetings. And then on Saturday, we had moved from one hotel downtown to the hotel where our delegation was going to be. And then this crazy text message came through, and then a phone call right behind it from Dakota Parshall, our executive director at the KSGOP. And both his words and the text were exactly the same. The president has been shot. That's all I could hear. That's all I could hear. There was noise in the background. But for a second, I couldn't hear anything else. I was trying to process those words and read it and hear it. And we all took off for a TV. I mean, there were probably 150 people in the lobby, and in 15 seconds it was empty because everybody headed to the bar where there was a TV, to their room for a TV, into the lobby where the TV was. Everyone wanted to know what happened. The really great news, as we all know now, was in that we were fortunate enough to have the feed coming directly from Michael Watley, who was directly connected to the event, telling us, yes, the president was shot, yes, he was hit, yes, he was hit in the head, but right now it appears only his ear, and while that's not acceptable, it's darn sure better than another centimeter over. So we collectively literally dodged that bullet, and I am thankful to my maker that Donald Trump is still alive and that he is going to be the next president, and how close we came to that not being the case, to us having a mess on our hands while we were there in Milwaukee and having to figure out what to do next. I'm so thankful that none of those conversations had to occur. So very, very happy to be in the spot we're in right now. While we were in Milwaukee with 150 Kansans that we took up there, we had the unbelievable opportunity to meet with J.D. Vance while we were there. And he had only been named for about 48 hours when we met him as the VP candidate. He, just so you know, if you've not met J.D., he is very gregarious, very friendly, very nice. He will occasionally slip a cuss word in on you, and he will tell you that's straight from my meemaw, his grandma who raised him. That's how she talked, and sometimes it gets out. But he is just the most genuine, nice, straightforward person that like any of you, just an average American. He is still a little bit. We saw him a couple of weeks ago when he was in Kansas, when he was over in Mission Hills for a fundraiser, which did that raise a lot of money? $1.6 million in 2.5 hours. That was quick. But when he was there, he was exactly the same. Had the opportunity to talk to him and visit, and just a salt of the earth, nice guy. Just very pleasant, down to earth, and he's going to make an amazingly great Vice President of the United States. While we were in Milwaukee, we had our delegation. Christy and I worked really hard to pull this off, but we got former United States Secretary of State and Congressman Mike Pompeo to come be a speaker just to the Kansas delegation. And I sat on the stage with him and interviewed him. I tried to stay out of the way. I just asked questions to keep him talking, and he was supposed to be on the stage about 35 minutes, an hour and 10 minutes into it. I finally decided that I thought he looked tired. we wound it down. He stayed around another 30 minutes shaking hands and saying hi to everybody in the room who he knew. So we also had, for those who keep track of these things, former ambassador to Germany, Rick Grinnell, who, if you don't know who Rick Grinnell is, put that in your long-term memory. You're going to hear his name a lot, maybe even as the next United States Secretary of State. He is going to be influential and powerful for America in any role he ends up in. But that could be a spot where we may see his head pop up and his face, and he would be amazing in that spot. We also, who's ever heard of ACLJ, American Center for Law and Justice? Is that a name that rings a bell for some folks? Yeah, that's good. I see hands going up and smiles. Those folks have become friends with the Seculos and some of their key people, the attorneys on staff, working on amicus briefs that we filed to the United States Supreme Court from the Kansas Republican Party, leading 38 other states and territories across the entire U.S. Little old Kansas was leading the way. We took the lead and we took the initiative, and Chris McGowan, our attorney, wrote the amicus briefs, and ACLJ was so enamored with the briefs that came out of this little flyover state, Kansas. They were so enamored with it that we all became friends, and they call us for help now, and which is really cool because we've got other folks in the party who are also big donors to ACLJ, a couple from Wichita, and so they have come to realize that Kansas isn't flyover country. We're must-stop country. You want to put that plane down here and let it fuel, let us put some barbecue or some steaks on board while you're here and come talk to us. You'll be surprised what you find in Kansas. For all of our delegates, we had gift and swag in bags we put together for the delegates. We went out and raised the money from donors, and we put together called swag bags, and they were really cool. They had a lot of neat stuff in them. And we brought some of that stuff, which I'm going to give away some of it right now. So we're going to play just a real quick game. So I'm going to ask you.
Hey Mike, I'll let you take questions and I'll bring this up.
Oh, you're going to bring it up?
Yeah. But
Sure.
I'll bring stuff up, but do you want to
Yeah.
questions before you do that?
Yeah, so are there questions, let's do this, specific to the RNC convention? Things that happened there, things about it, how it worked, who went, anything that anybody's got a curiosity about? Seeing them and hearing them.
Was there any surprises? Anything that happened on the RNC convention that was a surprise to you or anybody else?
Obviously, the president has been shot, was the bell ringer. That was the showstopper. I will say a couple of the other things that occurred that were also surprising were, again, the lack of effort that the left put into protesting. They were almost invisible. We only saw them a few times, and they were largely irrelevant in the picture. We didn't plan around them. And even, as protesting should be, no one ever threw anything. No one was screaming at anyone. There were a couple of people further away with bullhorns, and they had their opinion, and they were, shouting it to the stars. And to me, that's okay. I'm good with that. Knock yourself out. If that makes you feel good, and that's what you believe, have at it. But it's not okay to try to intimidate or hurt other people in the process of trying to force your opinion to the forefront. And so we saw none of that. The other thing that was also kind of caught me off guard, and I don't know why, I didn't really have a preconceived notion, it was just they were so darn nice, was the people from their city, from Milwaukee and surrounding cities, who volunteered. They just showed up at our hotels in a couple of cases and said, I'm just here to volunteer on behalf of Milwaukee 2024. Is there anything I can help you do? And they were all pleasant. I'm positive. One lady had 2 nose rings, and she still had a little green in her hair, and I'm pretty sure she wasn't a Republican. I feel pretty comfortable about that. But she was as nice and as pleasant as she could possibly be. She was there to help, and she wasn't there politically. She was there representing her city, and she did a dang fine job. She did a really good job. So, that answer it?
Do you think the news media gave us a fair shake?
Did the news media give us a fair shake? I would actually defer that question back to you, and here's why. When we got back in the evening on our buses to our hotel, 35 minutes from downtown. It was always already 1 o'clock. A couple of nights it was 2:30 in the morning. I had to be up at 6:30 the next morning for coffee with the chairman, dressed and ready to go for the whole day, made for really short nights. I never saw the news. I never saw the coverage. I tried to record it on our DVR. I tried to record the convention, and of course, it didn't work. So I never even got to see the convention except from the perspective of being a participant in the moment, which, don't get me wrong, I'm not asking you to feel sorry for me. It was cool. It was awesome. But I know it was also completely built for TV consumption. I had a lot of people tell me, Mike, as soon as dinner was over, I told my wife, we're watching it again tonight. It was must-see TV. We've got to see this. So I would guess that the perspective is that it was a good show and that we did well. I would say based on the numbers that came out right after the convention that we got a bounce out of it and that we did well, that it was received well by Republicans and independents. I thought it was powerful. Several of the folks, the gentleman that represented the union standing at an RNC convention is not something, well, that's just not something you see every day. You don't see a union president at an RNC convention. Some of the couple that stood up and talked about how important it is to close our border because through tears, she explained how much she missed her son that had died of a fentanyl overdose. That was incredibly powerful. The room of, I don't know, probably 6,000 people in the arena, it was as quiet as this. You couldn't hear anything. It was deafening quiet. Those were some of my takeaways. Being in the moment and watching it. I will also say, Hulk Hogan is bigger than I thought he was. That dude is a big guy. Man, he's a big guy. And I got to go up on the stage and we got some pictures as a member of the RNC. We went up on the stage and they took a group picture. I don't get scared. I'm not intimidated. I wasn't worried when I walked up here to talk to you. This doesn't bother me, and it hasn't for a very long time. To walk up and stand in front of 6,000 of the most influential key Republicans in the United States of America, that would be that would cause you to pause and think. I think it would cause anybody to pause and think. And then I will tell you, that guy's in great shape, especially at his age. You don't want me to rip my shirt off here. Man, that guy ripped it off and he looked pretty good. So you want to bring those up and show everybody what we got? Me too. We didn't rehearse this, so we only had 3 hours together in the car coming up, and we didn't get to this.
So we actually had a swag bag for each of our delegates and our alternates and our guests, and had donations, but then also several things that the KSGOP had printed just for the convention. We do have some extras, and so the fun part about this is you kind of get to be an honorary delegate or alternate with some of the gifts that we've got tonight. So he's going to ask a couple of questions, and we have a couple of really cool swag type things that we brought back, and these were things that people got at the convention. One thing that I wanted to just mention, because Michael Wadley mentioned it, was that he mentioned something called Trump Force 47. And if you did any phone banking for the Trump campaign during the primary, it was called Trump Talk. It still is called Trump Talk. They've actually improved it. And what it allows you to do is log on to your computer and volunteer for the Trump campaign. And you can actually use your computer. You just need to put in a pair of headphones, with a microphone, just something you use for your own cell phone. And what you can do is work through their computer system and make phone banking calls for the Trump campaign. And you can pick, they usually have multiple what they call campaigns up on the screen. But essentially what they would do is, even though you're in Kansas, and they love our Kansans making phone calls because, well, I get a little bit pigeonholed because I say y'all, but y'all don't have an accent to the rest of the country. And you sound like, somebody that's on the radio. But they love having Kansans make phone calls because a Kansas accent, not a Christy Brown accent, but a Kansas accent, is relatable to the entire country. But what you can do is you can actually pick what state you want to call into. So if you want to call into Arizona, or if you want to call into another swing state like Pennsylvania, you can pick whatever campaign is active at the time. It will not let you call too late. It will not let you call too early. But that was what Michael Watley referred to, is that there's actually a nationwide competition going on. And if you actually make phone banking calls and have phone banking calls, you'll win cool swag. You might get invited to Mar-a-Lago at some point. There's a lot of different things that you can win by doing it. It's a great way to volunteer. And we know that Kansas is a red state. We know so many people that are going to vote for Trump, and we're excited about the fact that on election night, we're going to see Kansas go up on the TV screen as red. But this would give you an opportunity, without even leaving your home, to make a difference in the states that are right on that bitter edge, where they really need help. Wisconsin, Michigan, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Arizona, all of those states you would have an opportunity to call into. So if you are looking to volunteer for the Trump campaign, it is a very impactful way to help the president get reelected. So, sorry.
Very good.
Hi, Jeff.
That's good. Thank you. It's a get out the vote program, and it's about trying to get people who otherwise aren't overly motivated to go vote, get them out. That's what the Trump 47, Force 47 is all about. So, okay, I'm going to run this real quick. First hand that goes up, answers, I'll call on you. You answer the question right, we got some stuff for you. So who's ready? Everyone got your hands ready to go. What year did Kansas enter the Union? Boom. Got a hand right there.
1863.
You were close. You were close.
1861.
1861 it is. Here comes an NRA hat. Congratulations, that's awesome. Let's see. What is our state bird?
First hand.
Meadowlark is right. We have a winner. State tree is cottonwood. That is correct. Here you go, honey. Yeah. That one goes to the first female, because I'm guessing that we're not quite as progressive in Kansas, and you probably don't want to carry around a clear purse in town. So we got that for the girls. That's called a stadium purse. Those are actually clear, and they're the exact right size that you can take that into any arena or sports venue in the United States, and it's accepted with your stuff in it, and you can walk in with it. So congratulations. Those were, the women really, really did like those. Let's see. State flower. First hand. She was waiting. She was waiting.
Sunflower.
Sunflower is correct. Let's see. Kansas, in the city of Argonia in 1887, elected the first what, fill in the blank, to be the mayor of a city in the United States?
A woman?
A woman, that is correct. That is exact. Susan Medora Salter was the first female mayor in America, in Argonia, Kansas. So as we wrap up the end of the Q&A, I've got a few pins, P-I-N-S. They look like this. They're for your lapel. They got the clasp on the back. And then pens, P-E-N-S, and notepads that came from the convention for those who are note takers. All you got to do, as soon as I'm done, come up here and I'll just hand them to you until they're gone. How about that? So let me wrap this up. So every day I wake up hopeful and happy about the future of our country and of our state and of our Republican Party. I also expect that each day I will do something valuable, meaningful, and beneficial for all Republicans that day. I hope that you all do the same. As with any human being, some of my days are better than others, but I always end up having accomplished my goal regardless of what else may have transpired that day. Because I close my day right before I fall asleep, praying for America and for Kansas and for the Republican Party and for you and for your families and the things that are important to you. And I ask God to give us all the wisdom while we sleep to guide us the next day. And then the next day I wake up and I can see it. Therefore, my prayer, if nothing else, was the one thing that made the biggest difference to me that day. That was how I meaningfully changed things. I hope you all will do the same. We all want America and the entire world to be a better place. Please pray for my family too, while I pray for yours. Nothing worth accomplishing ever comes easy or without God's hand guiding it. I am a tool in a toolbox, and for now, I am the tool He is choosing to use for this job. In my second term as the Kansas Republican Party chairman, we will accomplish even more, including taking back the governorship. We're going to put a Republican back in the governorship of Kansas. This is crazy. We're going to get the job done. But inevitably, regardless, someday a new tool will be selected and I'll be put back in the toolbox, maybe someday and perhaps for some other day. My name is Mike Brown. I am your Republican Party chairman, and it is an incredible honor to say those words to you, to stand before you. Thank you for all you do for the Republican Party, for Kansas, and for America. From the bottom of my heart, love you. Thank you. Who would like a pen? You can come see me. I'll be right over here. So I'm going to answer a few Q&A questions about anything about the Republican Party that anyone may have. Are there questions? Anybody got anything they wanted to know out the door?
Do you feel like the attempt at an assassination actually has changed the Democrat Party as well?
So I want to make sure did the assassination attempt on President Trump change the Democrat Party? I would love nothing more than to tell you yes, but I'm afraid that that wouldn't be totally true. The next night, Sunday evening, while in Milwaukee, I had the displeasure of, well, the pleasure at the time, of sitting with, 6 or 8 Kansans that were all there. We were all there together, intentionally together. And we were sitting, watching the TV. I guess it was the night of the shooting, several hours later. It wasn't even the next day. And while we were sitting there, a younger, I'm 56, so if you're younger than me, you're young, but young, she's probably in her 30s or 40s, sat down not too far from our group and wanted to argue about he wasn't really shot, the whole thing was a fake, the whole thing was a show, it was all put on, and then she wanted to argue about everything under the sun. And I wrapped that conversation up, I shut it down with her by saying, I see you got the DNC talking points down pat and that they've already issued them, but I don't think you're interested in our conversation, so just appreciate if you mind your business and we'll mind ours. And then we went on with our conversation, and that was really pretty much the end of it. There have been other comments like that. I don't know if you can imagine, but as the tip of the spear, the state party, and then me as the chair of the state party, the very tip of the Republican spear in Kansas, I get hate mail and death threats from across the globe, and I'm not kidding. I get crazy stuff shows up from the Middle East. It shows up from Southeast Asia. I have a guy that loves to hate me from Guam. I don't know why he decided I was his target of affection, but when somehow gets my Friday File email and he's got a bone to pick just about every week, I have noticed that when I put a picture of Trump at the top, it triggers him. You'll be seeing a lot more of Donald Trump at the top of every Friday File from here on. I wish that the Democrat Party was changed by that. I do feel that if the shoe were on the other foot, regardless of how much we may not like the product that is the Biden administration, I would never, ever wish him to be hurt in any way for what he thinks like I would hope he would wish and pray that I was never hurt for what I think in any way. It is an unfortunate set of circumstances that we tend to be the party that gets labeled. We're the meanies, but we're the only party that shows any compassion. So unfortunately, I've not seen a lot of compassion demonstrated by the Democrat side of the equation. Up to and including that after the mess that we all saw, and I still don't know, I can't quite put my finger on it, but something still doesn't look right, doesn't sound right about Secret Service and how that whole thing was handled and how it was covered. But the fact that immediately, that moment, right then, that RFK Jr. didn't receive an entire security detail, that they, right at that moment, asked for and were denied the next day. No, you're not getting it. From the Biden administration tells me they didn't take any of that seriously. Something also tells me that if the shoe were on the other foot, they'd have a very different perspective about how serious that moment was. And that unfortunately, in my opinion, points us to two very, very different Americas. And that doesn't bode well for peace and prosperity. That bodes really well for a fight. And I don't want it to be that. So my hope is they come around. I sure hope. Regardless, and I mean this, regardless of who wins the presidency, and it will be Donald Trump, mark my words. The cities are going to burn. It's going to be the Summer of Love 2020 redux in 2024. It's all the same stuff. They're coming right back. It worked before. They're going to run the playbook again, and they're going to go. That's exactly where they're headed on this. You can already see it starting to line up. They're preparing for the insurrection, for the fight, for the burn it down, for the rioting. They're gearing up for it already because the left can see the handwriting on the wall that Trump's numbers are improving and hers are sinking. This is going in the wrong direction for them. If it were reversed, it would be going in a very wrong direction for us. Their problem is they have a candidate called Kamala Harris, and the more people get to know her, the worse it's going to get for them. And that means we're headed, when Donald Trump is sworn in, America's in for a rough ride for a little while. It's going to get rough. We're going to see our cities a mess again. So prepare yourself. They're coming to do it again. Yes, ma'am.
I have enjoyed President Trump's invitation to his granddaughter spoke about her grandmother.
That was amazing, wasn't it?
Get all the cards,
I am not in the position yet because our oldest, we have 5 children. The oldest is a nurse, doctorate of nursing. They're headed for family, but we don't have any grandkids yet, so I don't have that. I haven't had that moment, but I can't wait. I can't wait. But I turned while she was talking to see the look on the president's face, and it wasn't the president, and it wasn't the president's granddaughter. It was a granddaughter standing on stage talking about her grandpa, and the relationship that they have, and it was powerful. And you could see it on his face, looking at Donald Trump. The look on his face was, he was sitting there, I'm sure, as I will someday, in a moment, nothing like that, but something, I guess, kind of similar. I'll still remember when you were coming home in a pink blanket. At the same time, I'll remember you walking across the stage and getting your doctorate and all of the other moments. But just to be the granddad and sit there and see your granddaughter, who you watched from infant, now standing on the stage, on one of the biggest stages on earth, and do that with the poise that young woman did that with, was nothing short of absolutely impressive. And it caught everybody's attention. People started talking about, well, let's see, she's 14, so which cycle? Is that 2048? Which cycle is that going to be? So it was really neat, though. People really did. It was powerful. Other questions?
Mike,
Yes, sir, Ray.
Can you give us an idea of what they're thinking as far as the holding this House and holding the Senate, and how this is going to play out? Are we going to be able to do that?
So, okay, question on U.S. House, U.S. Senate, where are we and how's it look? I'm happy to report to you, and I will make this prediction here, and you can hold me to it. We're going to get the U.S. Senate. We're going to win that. We've got 2 U.S. senators that already have all but abandoned ship on their campaigns that are Democrat because they know the Republicans are going to take both of those. And there's a couple of other surprises that we're pretty sure we can see coming just based on the projection numbers, how things are moving. So we're going to get control of the United States Senate. Are we going to hold on to the House is the $1 million, well, that's the big question. I do believe that we hold on, but I believe razor thin again, razor thin. And I wish that I could report to you that we were going to have a 10 nose count advantage after this, but it's going to be close. It's going to be close. So one of those that it should not be in the Democrat column, but yet there she is Sharice Davids representing Kansas CD3. As I said earlier, Johnson County delivers that for the rest of us across the state. It's baffling. The number of people who will literally look you right in the eye and you ask them who they're voting for. I'm voting for Sharice Davids. Well, why are you voting? She's so nice. And every time my answer is the same. I try not to smirk or be a smart aleck in tone, but that's all it takes to get your vote? You don't care about policy, anything? Well, I mean, yeah. So I always ask the next question. So how do you know she's nice? I mean, how often do you meet with her? Well, I've never met her in person. I mean, I just see her on TV. Okay. But that is a prevailing thought wording that comes out of the mouths of the Johnson County soccer moms. That is a pervasive thought, and she's just so darn nice. And I don't know why people think that. I've met her, she's not nice. She wasn't nice to me. Now she's about that tall. And when I went into her office, I was a county commissioner, and she had just gotten elected. I'd worked very hard and vocally to make sure she didn't get there, so she had reason to not be especially excited to see me. I really wasn't going to even go to the meeting. The chairman of the Board of County Commissioners put his arm around me and said, Commissioner, you really should come in and sit down for this meeting. I'm like, okay, Ed, I'm going to come in, but here's I'm going to the back of the room and sitting down, and I'm going to literally, no matter what gets said, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut. That's the hardest thing for Mike Brown to do. But I said, that's what I'm going to do. That'll be just fine. So I drug my feet going into her office to meet privately into her office, inside the bigger office. And as we're walking in, I look in the room and I realize everybody headed for the seats in the back. Everybody headed to the back. Guess which seat is the only one open in the room? Right beside her. I'm right here. And she turns her chair and looks right at me and says, well, Commissioner, how are you today? And I knew that I needed to be nice. But it was, again, one of the hardest things ever. I had to be nice to her and respectful and pleasant, and I was. But I didn't like it. And as we left, it was clear we did not care for each other, and it was time for me to not come back, and it was time for her to not come back, and I was going to do everything I could to get her out of there. So we're working really hard to change those Johnson County soccer moms' opinions and get rid of her and put President Reddy and Dr. Reddy as our congressman to get a Republican representing all 4 districts from the state of Kansas. So if we are able to pull that off, that's one more to the good and one more to our credit. And I am hopeful that there are some other districts that they can go pull those rabbits out and make it happen. Because the last thing that we want to have is the presidency and the Senate and not have the House. To give that up and pick up the other 2, it's better than nothing, but it's not everything by a long shot. Having all 3 is everything. That's all the marbles. Having 2 out of 3 ain't bad, but it's not really all that good either. Yes, ma'am.
How close is it, Davidson and Reddy? How close are they?
So the polling right now is at about 9%, and Sharice's numbers are falling. precincts are rising as he's becoming more of a candidate. They're spending more money. They're up on TV. He's becoming more of a known commodity. His numbers are trending in the right direction. Hers are trending not in her favor. They're coming the other way. The Kamala Harris effect and the mess with the Joe Biden swap, it hurt her. And her numbers started trending down right then. We can see it right on the chart. You can see right then, that week, her numbers started slipping. So, is there enough time? No. If nothing changes, we won't get there. With 56 days, there's not enough time to stay on those lines. So something has to accelerate. Her decline has to accelerate, or Dr. Reddy's incline has to accelerate, and something has to change. And as I told Dr. Reddy, and I also told Derek Schmidt, both of them, you both are good-sized guys, me too. And if I have to, I will pick you up and I will carry you across that line. We are winning these races. Whatever it takes, I'm in. Let's go. So both of them laughed. Derek laughed a little harder than Preston did because he doesn't know me that well yet. But I think he might have thought I was serious. I was going to pick him up and carry him somewhere. But so that's where we are. That's unfortunately, with me, you're going to always get the truth, whether you want it or not. So careful what questions you ask, because I'm going to tell you the truth. And unfortunately, we're behind, and something outside external influence is going to have to move the needle. I'm hopeful that, given the fact that we saw Sharice's numbers begin to sink and precincts go rising at exactly the same time, I'm hoping that's connected to Kamala Harris, and that this tomorrow night is a catalyst that pushes some people, and hopefully that is one of those catalysts that helps change the trajectory of both of those. Her down faster and him up faster.
Does Reddy have a phone bank going or anything like that?
He does have a phone bank, and I'd be happy to connect you if that's something you're interested in helping do.
Right.
They need all the help they can get,
They
folks.
could all be in their phone bank.
It's really straightforward, it's really simple, and it is a huge help. It does make a big difference in the turnout. When people are contacted, it makes a difference in them showing up to go vote. So I'd be happy to help connect, and anybody, through whoever, many of you know me and can email me direct, and please do. And I've got business cards I'm happy to hand out. So tomorrow morning, I have a 7:15 breakfast meeting with two candidates to talk about how we're going to help them get across the line, because we've got to make sure that we keep the candidates moving forward in races all over this state. So if it's okay with everybody, would it be okay if I excused myself and my wife and we took our 2.5-hour drive back home tonight so I can get a little bit of shut eye before that meeting in the morning? Would that be okay with everybody? I hate to dip out right after I get done talking. I like to stay around and answer questions, but I'll leave some cards. Just call me or email me, text me, just communicate. If there's something you want to know that I didn't answer here, or you think of something later, let me know. Folks, it's been an incredible pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So I want to thank you, Mike.
Thank you. You guys do a great job. Thanks, sir.
And we've got some good leadership there at the state now. And one thing that Mike mentioned, and I don't know how many people get this, the Friday file. Ever since Mike got chairman, every Friday he sends out an email on the Friday file, and it goes through a lot of the goings on with the Republican Party, the Kansas Republican Party, and also the National Republican Party. So if you don't know anything about the Friday file, and I've gotten it ever since we started here, since 2020. That's on the Kansas, Mike. That's on the Kansas GOP website. Right?
It is kansas.gop. You sign for the Friday file. It's free, and if you hate it, you can unsubscribe at the bottom.
So anyway, yeah, go onto the Kansas GOP site, and you can sign up for that Friday file. It's a very informative file. It keeps you up to speed on everything that's going on. And Mike's done a heck of a job on that.
Yeah.
So we've had more communication here in the last, since Mike took over the helm of chairmanship than we've had previously for a number of years. So thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christy, for coming
Thank
out.
you so much.
Good night. I want to just reiterate a little bit of kind of what my wife and I went to Europe here a couple of weeks ago. Well, it was 1st of August. Spent 2 weeks over there. So we were in England and Scotland and Ireland. And one thing that we noticed is the amount of patriotism over in Europe with the American flag flying in a lot of these cities, these towns. There's a lot of Americans over there in Europe. And they want the American influence, you know, and they want to know what's going on. In fact, when we got picked up from the airport to go to our hotel room, our driver was kind of feeling us out, you know, kind of seeing what our positions were. They're very interested in politics. They're very interested in American politics. And so he was kind of feeling us out, you know, which side we're on. And then finally I said, well, no, we're Republican. We're conservative, very conservative Republicans. And he just got a big smile on his face and it was Trump this, Trump that, and everything. He got his MAGA hat out. This is a British driver. Got his MAGA hat out, and he was going on about that. And he says, you know, I could tell you were a Republican from the minute I met you. I said, really, how's that? Because the Democrats from the United States, they don't shake your hand when they meet you, you know? So, anyway, then before we left, you know, we had a few people at the hotel ask us, when they asked us where we were from, you tell them Kansas, and the first question they had, well, will Trump win Kansas? You know, because they're very astute of what's going on with Trump and the election and what's carrying on in our country. And you know, they're an ally, and they want to be assured that America is a good, safe country, and that we have some good leadership. So that's enough about that. We need to get on with our candidates and our representatives that are speaking tonight. Basically, what I want to do is everybody knows the elections. What we want to make sure that we do as committee people and as Republicans here in the room is we want to support each and every one of the Republican candidates. And that's priority, you know, that we support our candidates and that we don't despair against the candidates. As Ronald Reagan says, you know, don't speak ill of another Republican. That's not true. That's not speak ill. But we need to support each other, and that's the way we win. We win by supporting each other, and if we have questions, and we have candidates that are new onto the tickets, onto the races and stuff, we want to be a sounding board for those candidates that come back to us and ask us questions about what's our feelings. Nemaha County is very influential in our district, in our area, as far as getting the pulse of what the people are saying and are doing. So we want our candidates to help us, to inform us, and then we inform those candidates. So right now I want to introduce Willie Prescott. Willie works with Derek Schmidt, who also won the 2nd Congressional District. And Willie spoke back in June 17th, the night it rained on somebody's hay over here. In June 17th, anyway, and so I want Willie to speak again on behalf of Derek Schmidt.
Yeah, appreciate coming up here. Yeah, I'm farm folk. If you need me to, okay. If I'm not very tall, maybe I'll be independent. But if you need me to break the drought for you, I guess I'm the guy you call. But no, I worked with Derek in the state legislature when he's in the Senate. I was in the House, got to know him then, got to trust him then. When he went over to the Attorney General's office, he asked me to come over as legislative liaison. It was more than a pleasure because we were always after the bad guys, and that's not a bad job to have. But now then, as it steps forward into, and we didn't have to force him to take this drug. We didn't know who we wanted to run. So we had an active primary, which Republicans have active primaries. Democrats know nothing about that. But the one good thing, and I was up here with the other candidates before, there was a pledge between them all. Whoever won this, the others were going to support. I'm not sure we see that within the Democrats, because if they don't like you, like Biden came in low, and they quickly chucked him out. Rumor mill today had that should Kamala do bad tomorrow, they're going to junk her and put Michelle in. So all you got to do is have a bad day with him, and they're done with you. But no, Derek appreciates the support he got in the primary. They just finished up today the arrangements to have a debate. It'll be in early October, I'm not sure what day. KTWU and Topeka will broadcast it, so we'll get to see a debate between the two at that time. But we're just now waiting for the election to come around. Getting to meet new members are going to be in the Kansas legislature. It's a blast once you get there. It really is, as Republicans especially. But no, it's been a pleasure to be up here again, Ray. I appreciate you getting invited. You always treat us so great. Farm folk are the greatest thing in the state of Kansas. The greatest thing we produce here isn't just farm products, it's the youth that we bring out. They're so impressive when they come through. The State House, you'll know exactly. Do they have rural roots? Have they been through FFA? Have they been through 4-H? They're really that's a stellar product of Kansas. It'll always be. But no, proud to be here. If any questions come, we have a website that Derek mans, and we can answer any questions at the time. He loves to get out among the people because it's exactly right. He wants to know what the people think. When the legislature weren't in session, I wasn't tied up on the farm. He'd send me all through. I got to go to Liberal. I got all the corners of Kansas. But he wanted to know, what are the people thinking? What is their opinion? What do they want me to do? And I'll do it. And I think he'll be the same way once he gets to Congress. But thank you very much. If there's any questions on hand, if not, Ray, I appreciate the invite.
Also, I want to make sure that before anyone leaves, that we do have some Derek Schmidt signs, and there is information on the table back there as far as information for Derek Schmidt. And I'm not sure if the candidates know this, but Ann Mosier is head of our Kansas Republican Women's Group, and she gets a group of women to go out and they canvass certain areas and certain communities, and hands out a lot of the brochures and information that you guys have. So without her, you know, and her organization, you know, it just helps out the candidates. It helps the people get a face on who the Republicans are in our area. So by all means, pick up some information before you leave, and if the candidates can get that information to us, we'll make sure it gets out. First district Senate race was won by Craig Bowser. Craig and his wife Erin are here, and Craig is from Jackson County. Won that race. It was a three-man race. Won that race. And Craig, you want to come up and speak a little bit on your race?
I'll be very brief. I want to thank Ray again for a wonderful event. This is the second type of event we've had in about 4 months here in Nemaha County, and I'll tell you that the other counties in our state don't quite do that. So kudos to Ray, kudos to the Nemaha County Republican Party here. Also want to thank my wife, Erin. Would you just wave your hand there? She has been by my side this whole time, and I got to tell you, when there was nothing in our wedding vows about, you know, politics and running for state senate, so I really appreciate everything she does. I love her to death. Our daughter Ava, who is in 4th grade, could not be here this evening. She is home at Grandma and Grandpa's house. She's supposed to be practicing her spelling words, and I think doing some reading, but if I know Grandpa, she's probably at Dairy Queen having ice cream right now. Just in the next couple minutes, I just want to tell you what you can expect from me as your next state senator. I'm going to advocate for small businesses, farmers and ranchers, and our military veterans. I will fight for tax reform, specifically property tax reform. I think there's a lot of opportunity there for some additional property tax reform. I will work hard to remove burdensome barriers. I'll do everything I can to set the economic conditions for success and job growth in this state, and specifically in this Senate district. And I've already been talking to the leadership in Topeka. I've already got a couple of ideas, and so we're pretty excited about that. And I think you're going to see some real positive things coming very soon. I support a border wall, and I support border enforcement. Now, I want to be clear, I'm very much in favor of legal immigration, but I'm not in favor of illegal immigration for sure. I'll be a subservient leader in Topeka. I spent 24 years in the Army. I learned subservient leadership. I believe in that, so I will work for you in Topeka. Most importantly, I'm going to listen. I think my job as your state senator is to listen. They just referenced that. I welcome your emails, phone calls. Come see me when I'm in Topeka. I'd love to learn more about what's going on with you and how I can help you. I'll work hard for the people of this district. And again, I'm not in office yet, but I'm already working with the state leadership. We're gonna do some really good things. And I'm going to be very honored to be your next state senator. I'll just close and say, if you have any questions for me or would like to learn more about our campaign, we have a really good website, craigbowser.com. Feel free to go there. You can contact me on that. There's an email link. You can shoot me an email or just give me a call. So thank you very much, Ray. I hope that was short enough.
Thank you, Craig. And as I understand it, you really don't have a competitor in the race, so
We do not.
so you've got it taken care of.
That's right. Thank you.
All righty. Well, another guy who's got it taken care of is the 62nd District Representative of Kansas, Sean Wilcott. Sean doesn't have a competitor in the race either. So anyway, they're both, Sean and Craig are both from Jackson County. But if you want to give us a little bit of insight on your race and your thoughts.
Well, I want to thank Ray and everybody tonight for the invitation to come up and participate in this. To say I'm green in politics is probably an understatement. So this is something that I've gone through and really have been very honored with this process. And it's been a very big learning curve so far. So my background is in small business, and really as I had come up and spoke in June, I think is when the last time we've come up, I shared my story and my background and kind of what motivated me to throw my name in the hat and go for running for the district. And I still hold true on that. So when I sit down and I take a look at kind of the things that are important to me, I would classify myself more as a traditional conservative. So the family core values, a lot of the business, the anti-tax or lowering tax are really all the kind of the focuses. Now, what I learned when I was going through the campaign, I spent a lot of time door knocking. And that was one of the things that a lot of folks recommended is, hey, you need to get out, you need to meet people, you need to go meet folks in your district and introduce yourself. And I spent, I don't know how many days, family members, friends, volunteers, spent how many days going around. And it really was an eye-opening experience for me. And as you go through that experience and you start meeting people, you start hearing some of the topics that I've never been important to me or I've even heard of. Again, I've never been involved real heavily with politics. So this is an opportunity for me really to meet those folks and come out. And some of you might have been on the other side of those doors when I was coming around knocking. So I'll also extend out. Ray, I think you and I talked on the phone here not too long ago. I said one of the things I'm going to need a lot of help with is the folks in this area of the district to get feedback on what's important for these members of our community. Because all I am is one voice to represent the folks in this area down in Topeka. And to say that I'm going to be on a learning curve is a real accurate assessment of it. Go down and learn how the process works. I did spend a lot of time at the Capitol last year. I was part of a bill down there, so from a civilian side, I was very much pushing for, and we were successful with that. The bill was successful. So I've seen it from the civilian side. now getting to see it more on the other side of the aisle is going to be something for me to learn with. So, with that, I don't really know. I'll open it for any questions afterwards, or if somebody's got something they really want to have answered, I'll be more than happy to answer a question now too. All right. I appreciate it again. Thank you guys for the time coming up here, and thanks for the invitation.
Thank you, Sean. Yeah, we'll be contacting you again to get you up here and get you some contacts and whatever. So, our next, we're going to slide into the county commissioner area of our county now, and our second district, of course, Jason Cook. Jason is in the Centralia area and had a three-man race and won that race. He does have some competition for the race here in November. So.
Thank you, Ray. I just want to thank everybody for their support during the primary, and especially my wife. Some days are smoother than others, she can attest to that. And I guess help me in the general election this fall. That's all I got. Okay.
And on the third district, Joe. Joe, do you want to come up and speak? Yeah. Joe's on the third district, which takes basically Seneca and surrounding area through there. So, Joe.
Thank you, Ray, for having me come up here. I'm not real good with speaking on mic, so I'm better at just talking to plain people without. That's the way I feel. I don't know where to start. I kind of stumbled in front of a mic, so I'm all ready to take over. I don't have nobody running against me as of now, so I want to thank everybody for their support, and I'll try to do everything I had said earlier about getting everything straightened out and try to work together with everybody on everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Does anybody else have any questions or anything that they want to talk about? We got an open. Well, it's 8:30 right now. Yeah. Oh, yes. Beth Solomon is from Marysville, Marshall County, and Beth was at our meeting in June, and she got us aware of the fact that we have that transmission line, the 5-mile easement for a transmission line going through our county. But Beth has some other information that she wants to share with us. Beth, you want to come up and just speak a little bit on this? She is the county chair for Marshall County. And so, Beth.
Right. I was here like 4 days after I found out about this transmission line coming through. It's not an easement. It will be eminent domain. They're in negotiations right now. We've got, I think Marshall's office and some of them are involved in doing some negotiations with the Federal Energy Corporation, which is in charge of this. They're doing an end run around our KCC, going over the state, straight from the feds. And so that's why we're having to fight on this. I've got 8 county resolutions passed now in hand. They're in the hands of COBA and our state and federal representatives. And I've got 2 county committees have passed the resolution, hint, hint. I'm going to try to get one passed in Marshall. And we've got 1 church group that has passed a resolution. So I brought copies of that resolution. They're back there on the table. If you have a group, organization, a board, you can pass that resolution. Get it to me, and I'll get it sent in. I also send it to 2 addresses at the Department of Energy and notify them that we're not in favor of this. So it's kind of putting them on notice. So There's also letters that you can sign and send in there, so pick those up on your way out. If you have any questions on that, sure.
I've been doing research on this, and this line's been in there, it's been in this area for a long time. I've got the dockets and stuff, and I've read them.
This is separate from the Grain Belt Express. This is coming.
That's what, I went to the KCC, and they said that they give me all the dockets. I got all the dockets.
I've got the docket too, yeah.
And they say they figure it out how much more power we're going to have from this new line, and they're also going to be able to shoot power both ways on this new line. Like the year that we had that big ice storm out here and we didn't have any power, but with this new line, they're going to bring power back both ways with this, and it's all for Kansas to Indiana, and that's all the further the power is going to go.
I think that's the Grain Belt.
No, that's in with this new power line too.
That's the NIETC?
Yes. And it's all for, it's nothing, and this line's been here for 100 years. And it's, the KCC has got they look at the future developments, like, say Seneca needs more power, they'll lead you a way to get the power to Seneca, to Hiawatha, all the different towns. It's not, the line's going to be in about the same place as the line they're putting in now, because that's where this line's been here for 100. This domain's been here for 100 years.
They don't have the domain yet.
They don't have the domain, but the lake of the 5 miles been here for this long. It's going to go in, and the KCC is in control of this. They were in control of this other line too.
No, when I first found out about this, I called Marshall's office. Marshall's office told me to call the KCC, that this was the Grain Belt Express they were talking about. I turned around, I called the KCC, talked to the little gal. She had no clue what I was talking about. And so I went, she told me to, get hold of her later, but she emailed me that afternoon. And she checked with her supervisor. Her supervisor had no knowledge of this 5 mile wide land grab, I'll call it. And she emailed me back a link to check out the information on this thing. It was the same link I sent her to check, to do some discovery on it. Same link I sent her, so I got it sent back to me on Faye. She said, check with FERC. So I contacted, or I went into the website of FERC. Can't get hold of them. There's no phone you can call. So as deep as I dug, I had a hard time getting hold of them. I emailed them, and I got no response, but I did find a docket where they were trying to put this thing through. This thing was actually, I think, begun in 2018, is when they first tried to start doing this. In 2022, it was kicked out of the court. They tried to put this in, they tried to authorize it, coming straight out of DOE. That was kicked out by court. They were told that it was too aggressive and overreaching. And so then, when that Jobs and Infrastructure Act came up, they slipped it in there and declared a national emergency. And that brought in a national security risk, which led them to be able to declare a national, the eminent domain. It gave them the authorization for the eminent domain. And so they wrote all that in to that Jobs and Infrastructure bill. So it was authorized just in 2023. And that's when this is still, they haven't even done the studies on this. They are still in the process of these studies, and these resolutions I send in, they're going against those studies. This is where we shut down that NRC, or the National Heritage Area. We shut them down this way. So we're trying to shut this down the same way in those studies. Sorry, I don't want to talk to me. So this is not a done deal.
Okay. Thank you, Beth. and we think this is something that Senator Marshall has been getting on board with, and he's starting to have some inquiries into this and getting this really looked at. So, well, tonight that concludes our meeting tonight and our dinner meeting. I want to thank again Burn Cafe, and there are some extra